All right, Shop Dog is all comfy and cozy. Pontiac's going up. I believe today is going to be some brake lines. We will see. Considering I see some there, and I see some brake parts. So I think that's what he wants to get accomplished today. This line to the back is probably okay, but there's some hinky-dinkies up here where they did some weird things up front. I'll show it in a little bit, and we're just worried it'll be a failure point in the future. So it's a lot easier to replace that right now. Well, I'm a terrible camera guy. I always forget to shoot videos. So we're using the extractor to vacate the brake lines. We've temporarily placed the booster on here, and we're going to figure out what we want to do with the combi valve and everything. So, but if we're going to make lines, we better know exactly where we want stuff. So you want to go back over that back there, and we know we're going to be rebleeding the master. We're not worried about that right now. We're just getting this all out because we don't want it all over the car or all over our hands. Okay. He's slowly working on extracting this mess down here before we get too crazy. And it's not an uncommon thing to see people do when they do swaps. But instead of extending or changing lines, they just bent things, and they couldn't get the prop valve where they wanted it, so they just kind of bent everything down and made their own little loopy lines. So what we're doing now is pulling all that out. The other thing is we don't know if they've contaminated that prop valve. They're not that expensive. So we have a new PV2, which I know will work perfectly fine, sitting right here. And now I'm going to dig around and see if I have any fun brackets. So, almost got the old prop valve out. We're going to have to run and get some fittings because I'm not reusing what we've got under there. But this is the solution we're going to go with. We'll get some shorter bolts found out, but we're going to mount it straight under. Any combination of kicking down is just too far with as far forward as this is, because it's got this bell crank weird adapter thing that Master Power made, and it works all fine, but yeah, not a ton of room there. So it puts everything right here, and we didn't like that. So even though it sucks putting them on, we'll do the undermount. Okay, so we had to go on a mission to get some fittings, and we're back. So we're getting ready to bend the one line that's always going to be a pain. Now on this end, we're just going to let it run long so that we can final mount it when we get it up there. But I want everything down there the same, because there's no reason not to run them where the factory ran them. There's already clips. It's nice and safe. It's a good location, and it'll run up to this point here that you probably can't see. But no, so we'll bend it, and like I said, we'll just let this run long and final form that in the car. Okay, so there's our basic pre-bend. So this will allow us to get it in the car. And then I'm just going to leave it run ragged or wild on this end so that we can trim it up to where we're moving the proportioning valve. Okay, so we've got that new end of the hose in. We haven't taken the old hose off the rear end yet. We'll do that when the car's lifted off, or lifted up because it's lowered. But now we've got somewhere to mate that to. We've already fitted it to it and crushed it, so it's going to be a good fit. So let's get this line in. Okay. Let's show the people what's going on. So we've got that line run, and she's coming up, and she's running raw. So I've got my fake master cylinder, which is 2 nuts that are the same thickness as the master cylinder, and I had this under bracket from another project where I had a bunch of brackets that we're not using. So that's what we're going to use here. So the rear is back here. Actually, I can show you guys. You can see back there. This isn't super tight yet, and we did do a little trimming to just to make these two a little easier to get at. The only one I'm going to really struggle with is really this one. And that can go to either of the fronts, so that's not going to be fun. It's probably going to be the one going across, though, so that I can kind of come up, loop, and then pop it in. But this is the stuff you got to do if you don't want to do what they did the last time, where they just bent some stuff and kind of hung the prop valve wherever they wanted, and you know, they got it working, but it definitely wasn't the most elegant. So I think this will work a little nicer. We've already sized it up on the master cylinder itself. It'll come just forward of it. Great spot. Make it nice and serviceable, or as good as, you know, being under instead of next to it. Every bracket we could come up with that would stick the prop to the side, it either is, if it's on this side, it's way too close. If it's on that side, it might start causing us some issues in the engine bay. So this seems to be our best solution. So now I'll just finish routing this and get its location marked, and we'll throw an end on it. A fancy thing going on there. Nobody's breaking into my phone. And what's the beautiful thing about NiCopp?
Bends easily.
You can bend it by hand. Okay. But if you want a nice, neat bend, don't do that one by hand. Alright. Now this one is going to be that last little bit. Give it a 90. So this is going to relax in. So what I'm trying to do is kind of like the factory would have done it. It's coming up over this bracket, and then here, get that out of the way. We want to get it immediately out of the way for any wiring, for the steering column, which is right here, and anything else that might happen. So I can only get so close here on the bend, and that is going to be about it right here. I've got one more little clippy clip here. And then I think in the final product before the engine goes in, we'll probably even put a clamp right here just to keep it nice and easy. But I think that's about as good as that's going to get. So let me mark where we're going to put our end. So here, I'll take that. So you can see, once I do that, if that's lined up, it won't rattle because it's not actually touching. And it'll be out of the way. And this is just infinitely easier to do while the car doesn't have an engine, nothing's in the way. In fact, even having the master out of the way is nice because these are loose, so I can just pop them down for tightening. This is definitely the easiest way to do it. You don't always get to do things this nicely. And then one of the things I like to do with a fitting, if at all possible, is to pre-fit it before it goes in the car. But sometimes you're in the car and you don't get that option. Now NiCopp, I have found, will look a little funny, but let me put it in the fitting and shape it. Come on, uh-oh. She bent on us just a tiny bit. It's okay, we can straighten it. There we go. And then we'll just... Can I get a 9/16 flare wrench? Should be one down there. No. Okay, that wasn't perfectly snug, but it's starting it down. So see, we're really starting to shape that in. So, and then you can see here's the end. And that will just kind of do the job. It's like magic. So I think I'm gonna get a big crescent wrench or a big adjustable. That's the other thing I saw. There's a sticker here. I don't want to take that off. That would drive me bonkers. Look in the old socket drawer. I think they might be in there. There's some in there? No. Yeah, that one's big enough. Just a little easier to hold on to. Sure, we didn't film the one where everything went together so nice and perfectly. It's always the goofy one. Imagine doing this over the fender with an engine and an exhaust right here. How much fun this would be. Well, she's coming around. I see a little bit there. Yeah, so I think we'll be able to make that work. So that's going to hang out here. These will be right here. Oh, here's one. So I don't know that there's any point in getting too crazy yet. Alright, and then I know it's a flare, but it'll do the job for real quick. Just kind of hold those down. Look at that, that was actually enough room to get the wrench in there. Yeah, this is the one I'm worried about. That one's going to be really fun. I don't think that's going to leak. I think we're going to be pretty good here. Make sure nobody's going to rattle, nothing's weird going on, nothing's touching. And we still got plenty of room down here. Let's put a clip if we need one. There, that's the beauty of NiCopp right there. So there, our main trunk to the back has a line. It's not the prettiest. I've gotten spoiled with that fancy tool over at Harlan's. And now I have to justify it to myself and buy one because that's really, really nice. I'd forgotten how much time that actually saves. Because the beauty with that is you never mess up. Okay, I think I'm going to shoot a closeout. I know it never looks like we get much done, but look at that shiny new part. So we actually got something done. The brake line to the rear is in and made, and overall I think it routed pretty good. We can't complain. It's nice and safe. It's out of the way. It pretty much follows the factory routing, except coming forward, obviously, because of where we've got the master coming forward, because this whole power brake kit, obviously this car didn't come with power brakes, and I don't know if this is a common thing, but this little bell crank with a raise up bracket, it's going to be really fun to put together for real, but because that will come back off after a while when it's time to do the wiring, because it's just in the way. But getting these lines done, that's going to go a long way towards making our life better. These lines had all kinds of kinks and stuff in them, so even though you don't necessarily always change the front ones, it's never ever going to be easier than now, because the engine's out, and that's really the only way to factory route the front ones, because they were in place long before the engine went in at the factory. So that's where we're at. We're getting some things done. We got more parts sourced. And yeah, now we just gotta get these two front ones done and then make our new loop overs here and swap these plugs from this side to the other side, which is always my preference anyway. So yeah, okay, they're picking up and putting things away. Thanks for watching.